They say laughter is the best medicine. But what if the person making everyone laugh is the one who's hurting the most? You've met them before. The friend who always has the perfect comeback, the one who turns pain into punchlines before anyone can see what's behind their eyes. They're magnetic, always making others smile. And yet, when the laughter fades, they go quiet. Their jokes echo in their own mind like a hollow room. And if you look closely, you'll notice it. That half-second pause after the punchline where their smile twitches just enough to reveal the weight they carry. This isn't just about humor, it's about survival. People who joke about their pain don't do it to entertain. Not really. They do it to stay in control of the narrative. If they laugh first, they can't be laughed at. If they make their trauma funny, it hurts a little less to remember. And if everyone's smiling, maybe, just maybe, they won't see how broken you really are. Psychologists call this self-deprecating humor. But that term feels too sterile for what it really is. Because behind every sarcastic quip or dark joke, there's a defense mechanism forged in childhood. It starts early. A kid gets hurt, mocked, ignored, and learns quickly that tears draw ridicule. So they adapt. They turn hurt into irony, fear into punchlines, and pain into something everyone can laugh at. It's not that they don't feel pain. They feel it too much. But they've learned that the only way to survive in a world that doesn't always care is to make that pain more palatable, to coat it with humor so it goes down easier. They're the kind of people who make fun of their failures before anyone else can, who laugh about being lonely, who joke about insomnia, heartbreak, even depression, as if humor somehow neutralizes the sting. But it doesn't. But it doesn't. And here's the thing most people miss. These funny people don't laugh because they're always happy. They laugh because it's the only emotion they're allowed to show. They've been told, don't be too sensitive. Don't take things so seriously. So they bury every other emotion under humor. It's not joy you're hearing when they laugh. It's a kind of surrender, a release valve for emotions that never had permission to exist. You can often spot them in conversations. They're the ones who joke immediately after saying something vulnerable. They'll admit, yeah, I'm not really sleeping lately, and then add, but hey, coffee fixes everything, right? And everyone laughs. The moment passes. No one asks questions. And that's exactly how they want it. Because silence is terrifying. Questions open doors to emotions they've locked away for years, and they've built their identity on being the funny one, not the broken one. Sometimes they'll even test people, throwing a dark joke out just to see if someone notices. Maybe if I joke about being numb, they think, someone will finally see that I'm not okay. But when nobody does, they retreat back behind the mask, convincing themselves that they're better off this way. And maybe that's the saddest part, because the louder the laughter, the deeper the silence that follows. They'll scroll through social media and see others sharing raw emotions, heartbreak, loss, vulnerability. But they can't do that. Not really. It's not their language anymore. Their pain only knows how to speak in punchlines and memes. And so, their healing stays locked behind a laugh. In social settings, they're the life of the party. Quick, witty, effortlessly charming. But when they get home, when the noise fades, the silence hits differently. It's not peace. It's the sound of everything they've avoided. And that silence is the punchline they never meant to write. Humor for them isn't just about being funny. It's about control. Because laughter gives them power. If they can laugh about it, it means it didn't destroy them. It means they've survived it. But what they don't realize is that survival isn't the same as healing, and control isn't the same as peace. Because every joke has a truth behind it, and every smile hides a story that's still unfinished. You ever wonder when it started? That quiet moment when laughter stopped being joy and became armor. For most people who joke about their pain, the answer isn't clear. It's buried somewhere between childhood and the moment they realized that vulnerability was unsafe. Maybe it began in a home where emotions were too loud, where crying made things worse, not better. Maybe they learned early that love came with conditions and silence was safer than asking for help. So they adapted. They became the entertainer, the peacemaker. The one who diffused tension with jokes because laughter was the only language that calmed the storm. Picture it. A child sitting at the dinner table, parents arguing in the background, the air thick with tension, plates clinking, words turning sharp. And just when it feels unbearable, the child cracks a joke. The parents laugh, the fight pauses, and for a second the chaos quiets. In that moment, the child learns something powerful. If I can make people laugh, I can make the pain stop. That lesson doesn't fade. It evolves. Fast forward years later, that same child becomes an adult who still feels responsible for everyone's emotions. They laugh at their own heartbreak before anyone else can. They mask anxiety behind sarcasm. They tell stories about their failures with perfect comedic timing. People love them for it. They become the friend who always keeps things light. But what no one realizes is that every joke is a form of translation, a way of turning unbearable feelings into something they can handle. But here's the quiet tragedy. When you spend your whole life trying to make others comfortable, you forget what it feels like to be seen. And for people like this, those who joke about their pain, being seen feels dangerous. Because if someone looks too closely, they might notice the sadness behind the smile. They might ask questions they're not ready to answer. So they keep performing. They turn pain into comedy and loneliness into a bit everyone laughs at. It's genius, really. A form of emotional alchemy. They take grief, insecurity, and heartbreak and spin it into gold. But even gold, when melted too often, loses its shape. The truth is, most of them don't even realize they're doing it. They'll swear they're fine, that humor is just their personality, but somewhere deep inside there's a quiet ache that never goes away. It's the ache of not being known, not truly, because how can someone love the real you if you only ever show them the joke version? There's a kind of loneliness that comes with being the funny one. People laugh with you, but rarely for you. You give everyone else a reason to smile, but when you're the one breaking inside, the world assumes you're okay, because you made them believe it. And when you finally stop joking, people notice. They ask, "What's wrong? You're so quiet today." As if silence itself is suspicious. As if they can't imagine you existing without laughter. So you start laughing again, because that's what's expected. That's who you are, the one who makes pain look easy. But it's not easy. Every joke you tell about heartbreak reopens an old wound you've never allowed to heal. Every time you say, "I'm fine," you're really saying, "I don't know how to not be fine anymore." There's something profoundly human about this. The need to transform pain into something beautiful, something bearable. And that's what makes people who joke about their pain so fascinating. They carry both tragedy and resilience in the same breath. They can turn suffering into art, into timing, rhythm, and irony. But that's also what traps them. Because once you start healing, the jokes stop being funny. The things that once made others laugh start sounding like cries for help you didn't even realize you were sending. Ooh. And healing. Healing means losing the mask. It means learning to sit with the silence, with the discomfort of being seen. That's the hardest part. Because the laughter, it's not just a sound, it's a shield. And without it, you feel naked. It's why comedians often struggle the most when they're alone. They live in a paradox. Their purpose is to bring joy, but their art is born from suffering. Every time they stand in front of an audience, they relive the pain they're making jokes about. They disguise heartbreak with humor, and the audience applauds at not realizing that what they're really cheering for is survival. Because that's what humor is at its core, a survival instinct. A way of saying, "This didn't kill me, so I'll make it funny instead." But deep down, they wish someone would look past the laughter. Someone who wouldn't need the joke to understand the pain. Someone who could sit in the silence without trying to fill it, because silence is where the truth lives. And for those who joke about their pain, truth is the one thing they've been running from their entire lives. Before we begin, if you've ever used laughter to hide pain, if you've ever smiled so no one would worry, then this one is for you. Because one day, the joke stops being funny. It happens quietly, almost without warning. You're sitting with friends, they're laughing, and suddenly you realize you don't feel it anymore. The punchlines that used to land so easily now fall flat inside your chest. You still laugh, but it's automatic, like a reflex you no longer believe in. And in that moment, you start to see it. The cracks in your own performance. Maybe it starts small. You skip a social event. You turn off your phone for a while. And for the first time in a long time, you let the silence breathe. It's uncomfortable at first, like stepping into a cold shower. The thoughts you've buried start surfacing. Memories, regrets, the words you never said. You try to joke about them, but the laughter doesn't come. And that's when you realize the mask doesn't fit anymore. For years, humor has been your protection. It softened the pain, it kept people close, it made life easier to survive. But now, you're starting to want something more, something real. Because deep down, you're tired of being the comic relief in your own story. You want to be the main character. You want to feel joy that isn't forced, to laugh without the ache that follows. And here's where the truth hits hardest. Healing begins the moment you stop performing. It doesn't mean you stop being funny. It means your laughter finally belongs to you again. It's no longer a distraction. It's a release. When the joke stops being funny, you begin to notice the people who stayed. The ones who still care when you're quiet. They're rare. They're quiet too. They see the pain you hide in humor, and they don't try to fix it. They just sit with you in it. And that's when you understand something powerful. You were never weak for using laughter to cope. You were surviving. You were doing your best with what you had. But now, it's time to live differently, to feel without deflecting, to speak without disguising, to heal, even if it means losing a part of the identity that once kept you safe. Because laughter born from pain can only take you so far. Eventually, you'll crave a kind of peace that doesn't need to be funny. You'll want love that doesn't depend on performance. And you'll want to be seen, not for the jokes, but for the truth behind them. And when you finally get there, you'll start to laugh again. But this time, it'll sound different. It won't be sharp or defensive. It'll be light, genuine, like a sound you forgot you could make. That's what healing sounds like, not silence, not sorrow, but laughter that's no longer covering pain, laughter that's free. And maybe that's the real beauty of people who joke about their pain. They've already learned how to turn darkness into something bearable. All that's left now is learning how to live in the light. If this story spoke to you, if you saw a piece of yourself in these words, stay. Because this space, this channel, is for people like you, the ones who laugh through the ache, the ones who feel deeply but speak softly, the ones who are learning slowly that being okay doesn't mean being loud. Subscribe not just to support this channel, but to remind yourself you're not alone in how you feel. Because next time we'll go even deeper into the unspoken truths that live beneath our silence, our habits, our hearts. Until then, keep breathing, keep feeling, and remember, some of the most broken souls still tell the best jokes because they know what pain sounds like and they've learned how to make it sing.